So level 4, multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. So because the actual process of multiplying a fraction or two fractions is very easy, I've decided to make word problems level 4, and I'm going to try and make some of them quite challenging and complicated. So let's see how we do. So we have a journey between two cities takes 2¼ hours. If we've travelled 2/5 of the journey, how long have we travelled for? How much time? And how long do we have left to travel? Okay, so you want to know, after 2/5 of the trip, how much time have you been travelling? Key thing here to note, words like of or times always refer to multiplication. Okay? So if you say, what is 2/5 of 1? That means 2/5 multiplied by 1. If you say 2/5 of 1/4, it's 2/5 multiplied by 1/4. So look out for those two words in particular, because they usually refer to multiplication. So 2/5 of the journey, and the journey takes 2¼ hours. So it's 2/5 times 2¼ Okay? So we've gone 2/5 of the journey. So we'll remember from before that 2/5 stays as it is, but we have to change 2¼ to a mixed number. 4 times 2 is 8 and 1 is 9, so it's 9/4. Okay? Next thing we need to do, we look at the diagonals. 2 and 4. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice. Now look at 9 and 5. There's nothing that divides into both of those. So now we just multiply. 1 times 9 is 9. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so it took 2¼ hours to travel the full thing. We've travelled 2/5 of that, which is 9/10 of an hour. 9/10 of an hour. 1/10 of an hour would be 6 minutes, so 54 minutes roughly is what we've travelled. But what I'm looking for is the fraction. Next one. So we have, in this case, Joe is 1 2/5 meters tall. His brother is 1 1/4 times his brother's. His brother David is 1 1/4 times his brother's height. So basically that means that David is 1 1/4 times Joe's height. Okay? So the word times represents multiplication. So we're going to go 1 2/5. Okay? And it's 1 1/4 times. David is 1 1/4. So this is David's height. Because the problem tells you that this is Joe's height, and 1 1/4 times that is David's height. So that's why we're multiplying the two of them. So let's go again. Improper fraction. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, so it's 7/5. Times 4 times 1 is 4 and 1 is 5, so 5/4. Cross multiplication, or our cross trick. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 5 once. So we're going to get 7 times 1 is 7. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay? We can change that if we want to. That's 1 3/4 meters is David's height. Okay? So David is 1 3/4 meters. So pretty straightforward. Let's look now at them a little bit more tricky. These are the type of ones that are going to come up much more often. So, a class contains 25 students. 3/5 are boys. 7/10 of the girls got an A on their maths test. How many girls did not get an A on their maths test? So we need to know how many girls there are. Then we need to find 7/10 of that, so multiply by 7/10. And then we see what's left over. Let's go through the process. So 25 students, 3/5 of them are boys. So it's 25 times 3/5. And we should remember the rule. When it's a whole number times a fraction, we turn the whole number into a fraction, 25/1. Do top times top, bottom times bottom. But first we can do a little crossing out or cancelling. So 5 goes in there once, 5 goes in there 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 1 is 1, so it's 15/1, which is 15. So that means there's 15 boys. Okay? Now, girls, this 25 minus 15 is equal to 10 girls. Okay. Now, it tells us that 7/10 of the girls, so 7/10 of the girls, which is 10, there's the bell for recess, okay, got an A in their maths test. So there's 10 girls, so that means that we're going to do our quick crossing out here. 7 times 1 is 7, so 7 over 1, which is 7. So 7 got an A. 7 of the girls got an A, so how many of the girls didn't get an A? 10 minus 7 equals 3. No A. Alright? It's not that difficult, I don't think. First you worked out the number of boys, which we got by multiplying 25 by 3/5 is 15. Then we worked out the number of girls by subtracting the boys from the total amount. It left us with 10. Then we found 7/10 of 10, which is 7, and then what was left over was 3. Let's look at another one. This is the last one, right? And then we're going to start looking at the worksheet. So what I've got in this one, 96 people went on a field trip, 5/8 were from the US, 1/4 of the number from the US were from Germany. So whatever number came from the US, if you had took 1/4 of that, that was the number of people from Germany. And 2/3 of the rest were British. How many were British? Okay, so let's find out how many were from the US first. Very noisy outside, students on recess. So what we do, 96 students, 5/8 of them were from the US. So we do 96 times 5 over 8. So in this one, look at the ones in the diagonals. So 8 goes into 8 once, and 8 goes into 96 12 times. Okay, 1 and 5 will stay the same. Top times top, 12 times 5 is 60 over 1, which is 60. If you're not sure of that, you can just do 96 times 5 over 1 times 8 and simplify that, and you will get 60 as your answer. So 60 were from the US. How many were from Germany? 1/4 of the number from the US were from Germany. Okay, sorry, I was interrupted there. 1/4 of those from the US are from Germany, or 1/4 of the number from the US are German as well. Or, yeah. So, what we're going to do is 60 times 1/4. So we can turn 60 into 60 over 1. Okay, we do our cross trick again. 4 goes into 4 once, it goes into 60 15 times. So 15 times 1 is 15. Okay, so this 15 are Germans. Okay, now these Germans are not US as well. Okay, there's 60 from the US, 15 from Germany. They're separate. It may have sounded like I was saying that some of the US were Germans as well. No, that's not the case. Now, so 2/3 of the rest were British. Well, British. So we're going to get, how many are left over? We have 96 minus 75, which is 21. Okay, 21 remain. 2/3 of those are British. 2 over 3 times 21 are British. Okay, remember we put the 21 over 1 to make it into a fraction as well. Let's look across the diagonals. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 21 7 times. 2 times 7 is 14. So 14 are British. Okay, so let's look back up at the question. How many were British? 14. And that's it. So what you'll see is there's a couple of different actions involved, and you have to kind of retrace some of your steps and look back at what you've done and add things up and so on. But it's not too difficult, but I can see it confusing some people. Okay, there's a worksheet available on Moodle which you can look at now associated with these type of problems.